Welcome to Aligned Christ-Centered Yoga. My name is Linda and I'll be guiding our practice today. My question for you today is, what is it that prevents you from experiencing the fullness of God's love for you? My husband and I have been working with a stray kitty for 7 months. So the first couple of months, we just saw her running across our property. In August, I saw her sitting in our property. So I started to feed her. And for another 6 weeks or so, we never saw her. My husband was convinced that I was feeding a raccoon. But she showed herself to us. We knew that we were feeding her. And I brought the food into the garage. And then it took another 4 weeks or so for her to get comfortable in our garage eating in there. And then she had to get comfortable eating in our presence. And finally, she consented to coming inside where she was protected and it was warm, where we were there for her. Finally, she consented to being pet and loved and held. And now she can't get enough. She nuzzles into my neck with her head and she pets my face with her paw. And she comes for more and more and more. For an entire year of her life, she didn't have that love and now she can't get enough of it. What are you afraid of? Time and time again, we draw near to God and He shows us His faithfulness and He shows us that He can trust us and He shows us His love. And then we can't get enough. But we're still afraid to go that next step. So I encourage you today to let go of whatever it is that is in between you and God that is holding you back from the fullness of His love. And as we open up the upper back and relax and release those tight muscles, I invite you to open yourself up to the experience of God's love. Find a comfortable seated position, maybe elevating your hips up on a blanket or blocks. Find your sitting bones anchored into this firm foundation of faith. Closing your eyes, begin to find breath and notice where you begin today. The rate of breath, the depth of breath, the quality of breath. I invite you to take both of your hands to your chest and breathing in and out through the nose, can you fully expand the lungs? These lungs are centered in the body. Can you feel the back of the body moving with breath as well as the front? Can you feel the breath expanding shoulder to shoulder? Bring the hands down, continue breathing, and begin to draw the breath all the way down to the pelvis. So as you breathe more deeply, can you still breathe just as expansively in the chest? What is it that's holding you back from experiencing the fullness of God's love? Let your hands come down to the mat and taking a deep breath in, connect breath and movement as the arms rise with the inhale. And settle back to the mat with the exhale. And continue here, maybe adding movement of the head as the gaze draws up. And exhaling as the hands come down and the chin tucks. One more time here. Leave the right hand where it is. Sweep that left arm all the way up and over and find a stretch up and down the side of the body. And then bring the arm out and down halfway and sweep the arm across your body. Leave the body where it is. And just draw the hand back across the chest and out. So we're going to come up and over, back to center, and just bring that arm across. What do you feel in that upper back today? What do you feel in the shoulder girdle? One more time here. As you're ready, bring the hands down. Take a nice deep breath in, rise up again. Exhaling, hands coming back to the mat, leaving the left hand where it is. Right arm rises, comes up and over. And then back to halfway out, reaching for that wall to the side. Come across the body, and then bring the hand close to the body as you extend the arm back out to the side. So reaching up and over, out to the side, reaching across, and returning. And one more time here. Can you connect the movement with the breath? The hands come down one more time. Deep breath in, arms rise. And exhaling, bring hands to heart. Take 2 breaths here and just notice how the body feels. Notice your state of mind and consider the connection of your soul to God's love. Gently bring the hands down to the side. If you are up on a prop, go ahead and come off of it. Bring any props that you have towards the front of the mat. And I invite you to sit with your right leg crossed in front of your left leg, finding your sitting bones once again. Taking a deep breath in, arms rise. This time, bring the inside of the hands, wrists, and forearms together. And tucking your chin, fold forward. So support the arms. If it's more comfortable for you, go ahead and support them up on a block. And as you settle into the mat here, open up across the back, shoulder to shoulder. So this is also a stretch for the hip. You're noticing wherever you feel sensation in your body. But today, as the head grows heavy and the back of the head reaches towards the mat, find breath and expand across the upper back. Pressing into the hands, gently rise up. Walk your hands over to the right in a gentle twist. Reach that right hand as far as you can towards that wall. And then begin to walk the fingers of the left hand to the side as well. Maybe drop to that back forearm, the right forearm. And as the head drops, adjust that front shoulder to find the stretch that you want across the back. Stay here for 2 breaths. How is the body moving with the breath? Putting a little weight in the hands, come back to center. Reach forward as far as you can. And walk the hands back to your feet and rise up into sitting. Arms come out to the side. Inhale as the hands come together. Exhale, hands to heart. Stay here for a breath and notice what you notice. Go ahead and switch the legs. So now the left leg is in front of the right. Find the sitting bones again, maybe moving the flesh away from the thighs. Take that deep breath in as the arms rise. Again, bringing the inside of the hands, wrists, forearms together, tucking your chin. Coming forward as far as you go, supporting those arms with a prop if you have one and if you need that. Can you find breath again? Open up across the back. Let the head get heavy. Notice any sensation wherever it arises. One more breath here. Gently press into the hands and come back. And again, twist, this time to the left. And bring that left arm all the way out to the side and then follow with that right arm. And maybe this is enough for you, or maybe you drop to that back forearm. And adjust the body to find your stretch. Stay here for another breath. Begin to walk the hands back to center. Reach as far forward as you can. And then gently bring the hands back towards your feet. Rise to a sitting. Shoulders over hips. Draw those arms all the way up. Gaze follows the hands. Hands together, hands to heart. Closing your eyes. 2 breaths here. Check in. What do you notice? The hands come down and meet me in table. So as you find table, bring those wrists underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. Find a neutral position of the spine, so you're extending from the top of your head all the way to the tailbone. Smack through the tops of your feet. Press into the tops of your feet and your hands. Exhale and find cat. Rounding the spine to the ceiling, opening across the upper back. And reverse that as you breathe in and find cow. Chest coming through the arms. Lower back relaxing. Back and forth here, cat to cow. So you may be noticing sensations in the hips and the lower back. What are you feeling in the upper back? One more time, cat to cow. Meet me in table. I invite you to take your hands forward, find a kneeling plank, find the strength in the plank, connecting across hip to hip in the abdominals, drawing the navel in and up a little bit. And then slowly come down to the mat, bringing forearms wide on the mat, fingers spread. Deep breath in, press down into the forearms as the heart rises. And exhale down. So as you come in and out of Sphinx, feel those shoulder blades gliding down the back. Notice where you may feel a little stuck. What doesn't move easily? One more time, in and out of Sphinx. And then stay in Sphinx. As you press the forearms down, imagine the elbows drawing back towards the hips. Feel the expanse across the upper back. Feel the work in the muscles of the upper back. One more breath here. Exhaling, come down, hands to rib cage, draw hips to heels. Find your child's pose. Stay in child's pose for 2 breaths here. Again, playing with your breath. And as you breathe fully into those lungs, can you feel the back of the body rising with breath? Can you feel the back expand with breath? On the next inhale, rise into table and curling the toes under, draw knees into rib cage, let the head drop. Shake the head out, no and yes. Begin to pedal through your feet. Move the knees and the hips and feel the stretch up and down the side of the body. And as you're ready, take a deep breath in and let the heels rise, and exhaling, let the heels draw back. And stay here for a couple more breaths. On the next inhale, right leg rises high. Drawing the gaze forward, float the foot in between the hands, rise into your lunge. Begin to find balance here. Finding a focal point in front of you, letting shoulders sink heavy over hips, engaging the core muscles of the abdominals and the back. And then with that balance, go ahead and take the arms and wrap them around your leg, nose to knee, so your focal point will shift and rise back up again. And 2 more times here. Find the lunge again. Take a nice deep breath in. And with the next exhale, let hands come to either side of the foot, pressing into the left hand. Raise the right arm up. Find a twist. Begin to draw the shoulders a little bit towards the hips. Engage through the abdominals. What's going on across the upper back? Exhaling, bring the hand down to either side of the foot. Float the front foot to the back. Meet me in plank. Go ahead and drop down to the mat, either through a kneeling plank, 8-point pose, grasshopper, or a full chaturanga. Come into low cobra and come in and out of low cobra. Stay in low cobra. Those bottom ribs still touching the mat. Begin to take the weight out of the hands, perhaps coming to fingertips, drawing elbows towards each other and down towards the hips. Feel the work in the muscles of the middle and upper back. Hands flat to the mat, rise through table and meet me in downward dog. Taking a deep breath in, the left leg rises high. Gaze forward, foot comes all the way through the hands, rise into your lunge and find your balance. So adjust your stance if you need to. Imagine a line running right down the center of the mat. Inner thighs drawing towards that line and up. And then from here, exhale, wrap those arms around the leg as the nose comes to the thigh. Come back up. 2 more times here. Settle here. Find your balance again. And then exhale, hands to either side of the foot. Press into that right hand. Bring that left arm up. Reach earth to heaven. Feel the work in the upper back. Feel the engagement of the abdominals. 1 more breath here. Exhaling, Hands come down to either side of the foot. Go ahead and bring that back foot forward. Meet the front forward fold. And as we find our first forward fold today, go ahead and hold on to the elbows. Let that upper body move side to side. And then come center, and as the back of the head reaches towards the mat, can you find breath and release in the upper back? Notice where else you feel sensation. Adjust the pose if necessary. Let the hands come down to the mat. Hands to shins, rise up halfway. Extend the head towards that wall in front of you. Exhale down. And pressing through your feet, come all the way up, mountain pose. Palms together, hands to heart. Stay here in mountain, checking in. Noticing how long it takes you to find balance, equilibrium. Noticing sensation. Deep breath in, arms rise, exhaling, forward fold. Hands to shins, rise up halfway, exhale down. Meet me in plank, come down to plank, however you choose to do that. Find your back bend. Sphinx, low cobra, upward facing dog. And then curl the toes under and meet me in downward dog. How does your downward facing dog feel? How has it shifted or changed since you started today? On the next breath in, right leg rises high. Gaze comes forward, foot comes in between the hands, back foot comes to warrior one. So that back foot is reaching towards the outside edge of the mat, angled forward, hips are facing forward, shoulders over hips. Straightening out that front leg, bring right hand to thigh, exhaling, reach as far as you can, come all the way over and down, and inhale up. So as you do this, can you support with the core muscles? Bend the front knee as much as you need to. Find stretch and release all the way up and down that back. One more time here. Come back to your warrior one. Settle here, hip draws forward. Let the hands come down to either side of the foot, and then walk the left hand towards the right corner of your mat. Engage through the abdominals, press through the outside edge of that back foot. Go ahead and reach that right hand as well, and then just play with it. Where is the stretch that's best for you right here? And as the back of your head reaches towards the mat, can you find release across the shoulder blades? One more breath here. Exhaling, come back to center, rise into your warrior one. Hands to heart, bring the back foot front. Meet me in mountain. From mountain, go ahead and hold on to your left wrist with your right hand. Come over to the side, side stretch. Pressing down with that left foot as that left arm reaches. And then come up and over the other direction. On the next exhale, fold forward, hinging at the hip. Finally, letting the head draw down, finding release. Hands to shins, rising up halfway. Exhaling, come down, meet me in plank. Find your flow, whatever that is. Make it work for you. And find your way back to downward facing dog. Settle here for 2 more breaths, checking in. Deep breath in, left leg rises high. As the gaze comes forward, the foot moves in between the hands. Back foot comes to that warrior one stance as the body rises. So again, that back foot wide, outside edge of the foot, pressing into the mat. Go ahead and straighten out that front leg, left hand to thigh. Reach that right arm all the way forward and down and back up again. And another time here, 2 more times, 3 more. Let's do 3 more. So exhale down, inhale up. Pretty sure that's what we did on the other side. Are you moving with the pace of your breath? Supporting the movement with the core muscles of the abs as you come down. And then as you're ready, settle into your warrior. Take your time. And on that next exhale, bring hands down to either side of the foot. So, abdominals in. Go ahead and walk the right fingertips towards the left corner of the mat. Bring that left arm around. Keep the hips facing forward and the outside edge of that foot pressing down, and find your back stretch here. Let the head get heavy, maybe shake it out, no and yes. One more inhale. What can you release with the exhale? Gently bring the hands back to center. Sweep them up. Find your warrior one. Hands to heart. Back foot comes up to meet the front. Meet me in mountain. Feet hip width apart. Parallel to each other. Even toes and heels. What do you notice? As you press your thumbs into your sternum, can you feel your heartbeat? On the next inhale, arms rise, and breathing out, find your forward fold. Hands to shins, rise up halfway, exhaling, come down. This time, bring the forearms behind the calves, fingertips reaching towards the ankles. Begin to create some traction. So bend the knees and then press the calves back into the forearms and the forearms forward into the back. And as the back of the head comes towards the mat, can you find space across the upper back? One more breath here. Hands to center, hands rise up halfway. Exhaling, come down. Notice how the forward fold feels, and then bring your feet to the back of your mat. Find your flow. Meet me in downward dog. So check in. What do you notice? One more breath here. Taking a deep breath in, right leg rises high, gaze forward, foot comes all the way through. Meet me back in warrior one. That back foot floats to warrior one, body rises. This time, arms out to the side. Go ahead and bring that right arm underneath the left, eagle arms. As the elbows rise, the forearm comes away from the face, the shoulders drop. Maybe you drop a little into the hips and that front shin reaches towards the front edge of the mat. From here, maybe you stay or maybe you bow down and rise into a back bend. And back and forth here 2 more times if you're with me. Otherwise, just focus on your breath. And then as you're ready, release, let the arms come up. And exhaling, bring the hands behind you, interlacing the fingers, let the elbows go wide, and hinging forward at the hips, lean forward as far as you can, and then fold over into Humble Warrior, those hands rising up. And if that's not good for your shoulders, you can just press your hands into your lower back or hold onto your elbows. And shake your head out, no and yes. Engage through the abdominals, and on that next inhale, unlace the fingers, come all the way up into that warrior. And then hands to heart, back foot rises to meet the front. Meet me in mountain. Again, deep breath in, arms rise. Hold on to that left wrist with the right hand. Come over to the side. This time, engage through the abdominals. It's the tiniest of crunches. Let that top shoulder just come over the top. Think of a wave cresting. And then adjust the gaze, adjust the arm. Find your stretch. Release as you come back. Let the hands come down. Cup the palms, then rotate so that the backs of the hands come together. Come all the way back up again. Hold on to that left wrist. Come over to the side. Again, engaging through the abdominals. Let the shoulder come forward. Find breath. And gently bring the arm back and release. Forward fold. Hands to shins, rise up halfway, exhaling, come down, one leg back, and then the other. Meet me in plank. Make the plank strong and find your descent to the mat. Rise into your back bend. Meeting me in downward facing dog. Checking in for 2 breaths. What do you notice? The next inhale, left leg rises high. And the gaze comes forward and the foot comes through the hands, back foot comes to warrior 1, body rises into warrior 1. So establish it, find the strength of the pose, bring the hands out to the side. This time it's the left arm that comes underneath the right. Again, forearms are reaching away from the face, the elbows rising, the shoulder blades floating down the back. Stay here for a breath, and as you breathe, can you breathe into that upper back? One more inhale. As you exhale, if you choose to, bow forward. And inhale and rise up. And 2 more times here. And settle here. Bring the arms all the way up. Exhaling, bring hands down behind the back. Interlacing the fingers. Again, opening up elbow to elbow, pressing the backs of the hands towards that mat, and then hinging at the hip, engaging and supporting from the abdominals, folding over that front leg, finding Humble Warrior. Take another breath here. Engaging through the abdominals, let those arms come down and unlacing the fingers, rise back up into that warrior. Hands to heart, back foot rises up to meet the front. Meet me in mountain pose. What do you notice now? One more breath here. Taking a deep breath in, arms rise, exhaling, forward fold. Hands to shins, rise up halfway, and exhaling, come back and just leave the right hand where it is and bring that left arm across and find a gentle twist, and then maybe that right arm reaches for that left leg. And so adjust into the stretch that's right for you. And come back to center. And reach that right arm across, and then that left arm reaches for that right leg. Gentle twist. And back to center. And hands to shins, rise up halfway, and exhaling, come down, and one leg back and then the other, and meet me in plank, and from plank, come down to the mat. And this time, come back to child. And from child, rise into table. And one more time, child to table. And this time I invite you to keep your big toes together and to take your knees just a little wider. Come back into a wide-legged child's pose that is comfortable. Keep that right hand where it is. Sweep that left arm all the way up. And then exhale and bring it underneath. And find a stretch here. And just walk that top arm forward and find the stretch shoulder to shoulder. And stay here for one more breath. Gently draw that top hand underneath the shoulder, rise back up. Reach that left arm forward. Yes. Reach that left arm forward, right arm comes up. Had to think about that for a minute. Bring that right arm underneath. So again, just finding your stretch here, making any adjustments to the pose that you need to make. How can you use the breath to release tension across the upper back? One more breath here. And take that top hand and bring it back underneath the shoulder. Gently come up and just come into whatever your child's pose looks like for 3 breaths. And maybe the forearms are in front of you and the hands are down. Or maybe it feels really good right now just to bring those hands back towards your feet and to let the shoulders melt over and down. One more breath here. Releasing anything that is getting in between you and the full love of God for you. Gently press into your hands and rise up. Bring your feet forward and let your knees drop side to side. Just a gentle lower body twist, releasing any tension in that lower back. Massaging out the glutes. And then bring the feet forward, come to your back on the mat. I invite you to draw your knees in, give yourself a hug, and just wrap your arms around your legs or underneath your knees and rock side to side. Just massaging out the back. From center, hands to knees, go ahead and just push the knees away from the body and back in towards the rib cage a few times here. Just restoring a neutral spine, a natural arch to the back. And as you're ready, bring your feet down and extend long. So as the legs come down and the feet relax, you find Shavasana here. Let's bring the hands up towards the ceiling and just reach the right fingertips and then the left, and just back and forth here a couple times, and maybe you can get the shoulder blade completely off the mat, maybe not. And then as you're ready, bring both arms up. Exhale, let the shoulders thump down to the mat. One more time, reach. Let the shoulders thump. And let the arms softly fall down to the side, palms up. Find your breath. As you settle into these final moments of your practice, consider the faithfulness of God. Where has He shown you in the past that you can fully trust Him? How has He rescued you? Where has He met you in the stages of your life? Begin to exhale again, anything that stands in between you and fully trusting God. Gently begin to bring movement back, coming back to this time and this place. Wiggling fingers and toes, rotating wrists and ankles. Perhaps turning your head side to side from the top of one ear up and over to the top of the other. Taking a deep breath in, bring arms up and overhead, reaching as long as you can, fingers to one wall, toes to the other. And gently bend your knees and roll over onto your side. And stay here for a breath or two. As you're ready, press into your hands, rise up to a sitting position. Again, finding your sitting bones. Finding alignment. Checking in one final time, body, mind, and soul. Remembering where you were when you came to the mat today, noticing what has changed, what has stayed the same, accepting it as it is. Taking a deep breath in, arms rise, palms together, and exhale, hands to heart. Joining me in prayer. Father, today we run to you, longing for your embrace, longing to feel overflowing with your love. Father, as your love flows through us, let us be a vessel, that the overflow can flow out of us and into our world, that all may know that you are faithful, that you are trustworthy, and that you adore us. It is in the name of Jesus the Christ that we pray. Amen. Thank you for practicing with me today.